let's begin the construction process. A website is composed of web pages, which is obvious. Think of the web pages as the bricks in the wall that construct the building. We are looking for pages to make our website. Now, let me just mention something up front here. You don't sit down at Dreamweaver and say, I think I'll build a site and start working. Some planning somewhere has got to have gotten into the mix. You've decided the different types of pages you're going to have. You've looked at the construction of the site. You've made a couple of notes, maybe some flow charts, simple things to help you out. That's common sense. Because if you don't, you're going to get bogged down real quick. We are in our main site. You can change that if you want to, but we're in the main site. That's where we want to be. Go up to the word File on the pull-down menu and go down to New. First off, we have some different areas. This area has changed since the previous version of Dreamweaver, and it's changed from the previous version. They keep changing this area. We have a new area called Bootstrap, which is about responsive design. Although our site is not going to be a Bootstrap site, believe me, we're going to talk about Bootstrap. Because Bootstrap is giving you the ability to create a website that's responsive to the device. We're talking about putting it on a smartphone, a tablet, whatever it is, it's going to look good. What we want is a plain old run-of-the-mill, boring HTML document, hypertext markup language. Now, we have other things in here. Most of those we're not covering in a basic class, but we will talk about some of them. We're going to make an HTML page. We can give the document a title. Now, that's not the name of the file itself. That's the title. If this is our first page, our landing page, if you will, you're probably going to call it index. Many hosts require it be called index, so we're going to call it index. The document type, we're going HTML5. But you have other options. You have transitional and strict on HTML4. You've got XHTML, which is extensible hypertext markup language. You've got mobile. You've got these different ones. Transitional and strict, or whatever you're using, what does that mean? What does that do if I choose HTML4 over 5? How does it change the document? Understand how this works. HTML is sent to a browser. All the code is sent to the browser. The browser looks at the code, and the code says to the browser, I'm an HTML5 document, so it knows how to interpret what you did. That's what this means. Now, we have a really new feature down here. This is cool. Use Extract to build your page from Photoshop comps. If you are a Photoshop geek like I am, you got to love this. I can go into Photoshop and design this fantastic page with the graphics and everything exactly the way I want them. Being careful to put everything in separate layers and name them correctly. And with one click of a button, I've got a web page. That's pretty neat. We just want a blank page, HTML5, which we've got up here. Let's go ahead and select that. Click Create. And let the games begin. Now, we are in Design View because that's what I left in. Whatever you did the last time, it's going to be there. We've got Code, Split, Design, and Live. So there's nothing here yet. This is literally a canvas waiting for you to paint on it. We paint with graphics and text and all kinds of fun stuff. Let's look at the code. We are primarily going to work in WYSIWYG mode. What you see is what you get. But that doesn't mean we can't stop and look at the code occasionally. So if I come over here and click on Code, you can see that what we have is the code for this page, even though there's nothing there yet. You have a doc type, HTML. We have an HTML opening tag here. Now watch what happens when I click on it. It shows you or highlights the one on line 10. That's the closing tag. Normally speaking, an HTML document is contained within those two tags. Everything should be basically in there except for a few items. If we go to heading, click up here, you can see the opening and the closing. Now we have a meta tag and we have title. The title is index because we named it when we saved it. We got a body tag. If I get in here and click, there's nothing in there yet. Most of what we're going to do, the text and the graphics, etc., will be enclosed within the body. So you're looking at the code. Let's come back over here and click on design. I'm going to type in, this is my index page. Now, what did that do to the code? Put it inside the body. Now, we can add things to the code. We can bold it. We can italicize it. We can add CSS, cascading style sheets, which we're going to do. you can see we can work this in two ways. Some people absolutely want to and love working in the code, and Dreamweaver lets you do it right here. Some people, it's like, okay, I know the code's important, but Dreamweaver seems to do a very good job of putting it together. I would rather concentrate on the artistic end, the marketing end, the design end, and let Dreamweaver handle the code. And some people say, I want the best of both worlds. So if I come over here and click Split, I can see the design view on the top and the code view on the bottom. Now, we wrote this is my index page in the design view. But if you wanted to do that in the code view, say we decide we don't want the word index, we want to put the word home. This is my home page, or landing page maybe. So we come down here and click it in the code. This is my landing page. Now you'll notice it didn't change it yet. You have to do something else to initiate the change. You actually have a button you can click. To me, it's just as easy to click up here, and it'll change it. So this is, in a sense, our first page. We will modify this page to make it into a good index, landing, home page, whatever you want to call it. But the first thing we need to do now is to save it. As a matter of fact, when I'm working in Dreamweaver on a new page, the first thing I do before I add anything, just in case something happens, is to save it. Well, let's go up to the word File on the pull-down menu and go down to Save. Now, the first time you do a save, it's going to ask you where you want it and give it a name. After that, clicking Save just saves it automatically. So when you're working, you make a couple of changes. Every once in a while, you click Save. We're going to call this index HTML, Hypertext Markup Language. Now, where? By default, it's putting it inside of our site because we have our site active. That's exactly where I want it to be. What I usually do with the index page, which is also in many cases required by the hosting site, is I put it into the root area, which is right over here. You will notice I have a folder for pages. That's where all our other pages are going to go, but we want this one right here. So really all we have to do is click Save. But let's say, for the sake of argument, that you're thinking about saving it someplace else. You're not really thinking about this, and you go to a different area. And then you realize, oh no, I got to put that in the home site, but I don't remember the path to get there. Maybe you buried it in a folder, which you can do. You can click this button right down here, and it'll take you right back again. So in our case, with index, all we got to do is click Save. Now we have some other things down here we'll talk about later. Just click Save. Okay, it now says index HTML up here. You can see it over here. We've begun the construction of our site. Let's go ahead and close this. And let's move on.